Hi friends, thank you so much for joining me today. I am having an awesome day. I hope that you had a fabulous weekend. There's so many good things and exciting things that are going on, and last week we covered a lot of foundational truths about our brain and how they work, and then I shared with you the ways that I have been able to completely change the way that I interact with the world. And by that I mean no longer carrying stress and anxiety and overwhelm as a part of my nature, as like how I behave in the world. And this week what we're going to talk about is our past, and specifically how to change our past. And I know I've heard it said so many times that it's impossible to change your past, you don't fight it. Well, the thing is, the way that we think about our past can change, and what we make our past mean can change. And that's meant the world to me, knowing that I have full control over what I decide my past means. It's so exciting because I had some events in my life that for a long time I struggled with, and I'm not saying that I will never struggle with them in the future. It's just that I'm choosing to think about them differently, and I can already see so many blessings because of that. So, an example, I've already mentioned that in my childhood I had suffered sexual abuse, and I was molested by someone that was close to the family, and I'm obviously not going to be sharing any information, details. That's for him to share. It's not my business. That's not my story. My story is what happened to me. And for a long time, I had a lot of struggle with that. And I made the fact that I had been molested mean that I was damaged, that I wasn't good enough, that I would struggle with intimacy, and I would struggle with not just sexual intimacy, but just relationally and with people, and putting up walls and not letting people in to a certain degree. And I made that mean that I was just going to live a life that was kind of hostage because of an event that I had no control over in my childhood. And that was very handicapping for me. And once I realized I had the ability to change my past because of changing the way I thought about it, I realized I can think about it in a way that serves me instead of limits me. I can choose to think about not only those circumstances, but a whole host of other ones that I was disappointed in. I can choose to think about those in a way that serves me, in a way that enhances my life, in a way that gave me hope for the future, and that I didn't have to be that victim anymore. And so it's a game changer. It's really exciting when you are able to take responsibility for your past like that. So I wrote down some ways that I thought about my past previously, and then the ways that I think about it now, and how that's made me show up differently in the world, and how that's made me show up differently for my family. And I want to give you examples of this, because maybe it's not sexual abuse that you've had to overcome, or that you are in the process of, or whatever. Maybe it's something else, but I want to show you the power of changing the way that you think about it. So the circumstance of being molested as a child is a circumstance, and like last week we talked about, our circumstances are independent of us. They are, we can't control them, and they are external, which means like we don't have control over them. So my thought, I can control about it. And my thought had previously been, I wish it hadn't happened. It ruined my life. That created, here, let me see if I can show you this. That created the feeling that I was angry, and that I carried that weight with me, that anger. And because of that anger, my action here was to practice negativity, because when you're angry and you're in that space constantly, you just practice it, and your brain wires that way, and so it wires more anger into situations. As a result of that, I lived in stress. And that was just one of the many thoughts that I had about it, and they all gave me different feelings and emotions. So when I changed the way I thought about it, the circumstance was still the same. Here it is. Same circumstance, molested as a child, but my thought was, everything happens for me. And this is something I had to practice and practice and practice. And what I mean by that is, when I was sitting and like feeding my child, like I'm sitting here rocking my kid to sleep and nursing my kid, I would just practice thinking everything happens for me. And I would think about those circumstances as a child, and I would, filled with anger, I'm not saying it was easy, filled with anger and frustration, I would say, everything happens for me, and try to find good out of it. And I did it for the first while. For the first, I would say, half a dozen times that I practiced this, like 15 minutes at a time, I would say, I need to see something good out of this. How am I going to see something good out of these situations? And everything happens for me. What good could have possibly come of this? And what shocked me was that as I was rocking my baby to sleep and feeding him, I realized I wouldn't have my child had those things not happened to me. And having that as my past created me with a certain personality and set of habits and setbacks and expectations of my life, and it put me on a path to meet my husband and then have the children that I've got. And I would not have those had I not gone through that childhood trauma. And that really rocked my world. And so as a result of that, I thought, I can be grateful. Not that the events happened. I'm grateful that I was able to overcome them, that I was able to get beyond them and see that I can be stronger than I was before. So without that circumstance in my childhood is kind of like a benchmark that, I can always go back to. Excuse me. Had I not had such an obstacle to overcome, I would not have developed grit. I would not have developed a host of other things that have benefited me in my life. And I have my babies and my husband because of all of those things. And I was tempted to say, yes, but I would have been grateful for, whatever husband and babies I ended up with. But I had to catch myself, because doing so doesn't make me grateful for what I have been blessed with. And there are so many other things that I do have in my life that I don't deserve. And I wasn't actually sitting back saying, like, well, why did these things have to be my blessings? I was just looking back at the bad stuff and saying, why did this have to happen? Like, I was at a point, I literally, I'm a person of faith, and I took my Bible and I threw it on my bed, and I was like, God, I want answers. I'm like, I don't like this. I want answers. And he was so patient with me. But I soon after realized I've got all of these blessings in my life because of, there's my timer, because of a murky past. And it's made the difference in how I view myself, how I view myself not as a victim, but as someone who is an overcomer, who can get better, who is able to develop and grow and mature and be better than I was yesterday. It's made all the difference in the world. So thinking the thought, everything happens for me. So now when something doesn't go my way, let's say something happens with my husband and he's choosing to do something and I'm wanting him to do something different. And instead of me saying, gosh, this always happens, this is, this makes me so irritated and like, why, being frustrated, I can now say, everything happens for me. And viewing my past as something that happened for me has been amazing. So Another thing is, as you're doing this, as you're thinking about your past and things that have maybe previously limited you, think, how did that happen for me? How can I view this through a lens of gratitude and let that sink in and truly become a part of who you are? I know it's possible, and there are people that have suffered greater things than I have and have been able, with gratitude, to look at their life and to change what it means about them and about who they're going to be. And I invite you to be able to do the same thing through being deliberate about the thoughts that you take towards your past. Today's Tuesday, so Thursday we're going to be talking about our past, and Saturday as well. And I'm going to be giving a couple more tools for things that I have used to help me so much. And I look forward to seeing y'all again soon. And if this resonated with you, if you connected in some way with this and there's something that you would like to discuss with me, please reach out to me. If you have got my number, do that, or Facebook Messenger, just however, reach out to me, and we can jump on a call and we can discuss maybe how I can help walk you through this very same path of changing the way that we think about our past and how we want to get better. And I read something, I think it was Napoleon Hill said, and this is a loose quote, clearly not going to be accurate, but it was something like, any obstacle has an equal advantage. We just have to look for it. And so anything that's been an obstacle for you, there is an equal advantage somewhere on the other side of that, and it's powerful, and I want to help y'all get there. I want to get there myself. I have to a very, very large degree, but I'm continuing to even rewrite things as they come up in my head, rewriting how I view my past. So if this resonated with you, I hope you'll make a comment, share something, but if you would love to talk with me, please reach out. I would love to connect with you. And I look forward to seeing you Thursday. And until then, God bless. Bye. Wait, I don't know how to turn this off. Finish.